Instagram and our Twitter.
Yeah.
And they look at all those things and things that we post, we can actually get in trouble. And there's regulations that govern, what we can and can't post. Now, some people follow it, some people don't, so it is one of those things. So if I go out here and start saying hate speech and this and that, yes, I can get in trouble. Yes, I can get put out of the military, and they can't use that against me. Because the burden of proof in the military is a lot slimmer than the burden of proof in an actual court.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do it, because I don't want to make anybody mad or, get those comments because I'm going to read the comments and I'm going to get mad. Like, well, they're stupid. They didn't understand what I was saying.
Yeah.
But they may not understand, but if I can explain it to them in person, for me, that's where I'd like to draw the line.
Mm.
Plus, I don't want, I may be, we all get mad. And there are times there's probably you've gotten mad and said things, to your partner or whoever, a friend, that, a year later you look down the road and you're like, well, that was kind of dumb. I should have said that. Like, that didn't make sense, so that's another reason, just not with being in the military, but that's another reason why I don't post on social media a lot. I don't comment on people's comments because I don't like the negative connotation, because I don't know where that person's coming from, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, I told them, that totally makes sense. And for me, I remember even being like pissed that Jasmine hadn't been saying anything on social media, and like that conversation that we had where it was like, oh, you're actually not allowed to do that? Okay, that makes sense. And that, what would that be called? A law, a clause, contract, agreement that extends to military families as well, because they can easily, again, lump you together and being like, see, military families feel this, or this is how the military views this statement. Does it make you feel oh, go ahead, sorry.
Or no, I was just going to say, all military people are Republicans and they all don't like, this person or that person or this public figure or that public figure.
Yeah.
And, they try to lump in this whole thing, which not everybody votes the same way. Everybody believes different things. It is what it is.
For sure. And I think that, and we had this, what's cool is we, between the two of us, I don't feel are too married to our ideologies. Like, maybe we believe this side of one topic, but then we can agree to disagree, or we can agree like, okay, like, yeah, freedom of speech on that aspect. Like, okay, great. High five, leave, we're cool. Right. How does it make you feel when you see military personnel posting on either aspect, on political stuff?
I personally don't like it because what we just alluded to in our conversation before, we just talked about previously, because there's rules and regulations that we have to follow. And a lot of time when people, my personal opinion, when they put stuff on these social media platforms, it's a knee-jerk reaction. It's not, I went out and read this article or read this article and that article and that article and formed an opinion. I read the headline and read the first paragraph of this, 4-page article from, let's say, the Wall Street Journal.
Right.
And, I formed an opinion when I didn't educate myself, and then they're going to argue back and forth with people. You may comment and be like, well, no, this, and this, and you can make sense, but they don't see it because they didn't do their due diligence, or they're just mad at the situation. And it just gets, people want to argue and this and that. And that's what you get in a lot of the comments and stuff. But again, people do have that right. They can voice those opinions. They can talk about certain things, touchy subjects or whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to post, let them post. It's a free world.
Yeah.
But, I don't agree with them with the arguing and the name call and this and that. And, because you get a lot of that too. Because I'm part of some pages on Facebook that are strictly like military pages for like work stuff and different things. And you get those conversations on there, and then, somebody may post something. I may agree with it. I'm like, oh, well, that's actually a good idea. That's a good thought. I didn't look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get the people on there, well, you're stupid and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Just negative talk, and I can't deal with it. Because then I'm yelling at the computer as I'm reading it.
On the book of faces.
Right. But, if they want to do it, let them do it.
Yeah.
I just, I'm like everybody else. I have knee-jerk reactions to certain things, so that's why I don't really post on it and do things. But if they want to do it, let them do it, whatever. I mean, that's on them. Just be mindful of what you post, because you can never get it back.
Right.
And what you posted is there forever. Your kids can go see it. Your family can go see it. Your bosses, somebody, a university maybe hiring, you may go back and look at your Instagram and you posted something you shouldn't have posted, 6 years ago, which we're seeing the remnants of that now.
Oh, yeah.
That these businesses are doing that, so they don't really, again, that's why I say it's knee-jerk reaction, that don't post everything, don't post your first thought. Mm-hmm. Educate yourself on these certain things, because it could come back to bite you, especially in the world that we live in now with all the social media platforms.
Absolutely. And I know that having the conversation one-on-one, either in person or on the phone, really helps, because when we had that conversation on the phone, it really shifted my mentality as far as okay, people aren't posting. They're probably still doing the work, but who's doing the work. You can get that vibe. And it's that concept and that conversation of diversity versus equity. Diversity is great, but that's just giving them a seat at the table. Are you actually including them, asking them and probing for what ideas do you have? Do you feel as though you're heard? Equity versus equality. I'm a big advocate for equity, because equity says, okay, this is the tools that we need so that we can be equal, versus just giving everyone the same equal, giving everyone the same, what's that? There was a post recently where it was just we're trying to get everyone in the room, but who can't get in the room? How can we make sure that they're represented in a way that is full? So right. It's the same concept. So with IEPs, there's that argument of oh, why do students get extra time and a half when they're taking tests? It's no, they're not getting an advantage. They're being brought to an equal playing field. If that's something that they need, that's how you make it equitable. No, equal would be everyone gets an extra 2.5 hours to take their test. Equitable is those who require it have an IEP and need that space where they're not being distracted, so that they can perform at the same level as you when you're in a noisy room and you can just tune it out. That's equity. So I feel as though it's been tough. It's been tough because there's definitely been posts where I'm just my thumb is hovering over send. And I take a breath, I take a moment, and I'm just okay, relax. It's fine. This is your knee-jerk reaction. Sit with it, think about it. Even what was the video you sent me the other day where it was the quote-unquote honest history of how black people have been treated by the Democratic Party. You remember that video? And it's it's the timeline.
I think
Jasmine sent me that video. Yeah. She's she's just watch it. I'm I can't watch it because I had a long day with Ben Shapiro. So I'm I can't watch it. Please. No, I think it might have been the Hodge twins. That's a whole nother.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the Hodge twins.
Had to have been something else. I was just okay. I watched it. And remember my knee jerk, I was this is misleading. And then, we had that conversation of why you think it's not true? I'm no, I didn't say it's not true. I said it's misleading. We got to look at the language.
It goes back to the whole attitude of, you've heard this, numbers don't lie, people do.
Yes.
And becoming, a doctoral student, which I thought I'd never say that, and learning research from my wife and her process and, how research is done, you can make numbers say whatever you want to.
Yep.
You can do any type of research and this and that, and you can make the numbers say whatever you want. Doesn't mean it's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the numbers are going to tell you the truth when you go and do the research. Or they try to recreate the research. And it goes the same thing for what people tell you versus you're talking about. You looked at what they're talking about, but does it make it true?
Right.
Yeah, yes, this happened in 1861. Yes, this happened in 1964 with Lyndon B. Johnson and so on and so forth. And, those things did happen. Right. But, yeah, I can change those the way they happen and how I feel why they happened to give you my point of view.
Exactly. Right? What was it? Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And I was like, okay, but you got to think, why was Lyndon B. Johnson even put in power? Who originally wanted that act signed? What assassinations occurred prior to that led to this? Like, it's needing the full picture, which
and here's the other thing, too. If he was such a good president or vice president, then why didn't he talk John F. Kennedy into signing it? Why did it sit on John F. Kennedy's desk, or not desk, but in his arena in the House and the Senate for years when he was president? He never talked about it or signed it.
Right.
Are you doing it for votes? Or are you doing it because that's what you really want to do and you feel like that this is going to help people?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just the same thing with, the way we do things today, the way Trump does what he does, or Obama did the things he did.
Mm-hmm.
President Obama and President Trump.
Yeah.
And, President Bush and those people before them, they do things for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily for you, my personal opinion, not necessarily for you and I.
Yeah.
It's for their own personal gain.
100%. I mean, if I was in the room, obviously things might be done differently, honestly, in both administrations. But I'm not in the room. I'm not of age to be president yet. So
you can say that.
Yeah.
But I always look at it this way, right? So let's just say you're President Trump, right?
Yeah.
And your whole goal and he's not a career politician, but if you're president, your whole goal is to get reelected. Just very simple, right?
Yeah.
So you don't understand why he's making the decisions he's making to get reelected or to help his business once he leaves office or whatever, his own personal agenda. You don't know why he's making those decisions. We can sit here and say that we wouldn't do that, but until you lived, 78 years or however old it is in his life, then you can understand why he's making the decisions he's making.
Yes, yeah.
So we can't – I don't personally like the fact that people say, oh, well, I would have done it different. Well, you don't know you would have done it different because you're not in that situation. You don't know why that person made a decision they made. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Do you, and this is on topic, but not on topic, I feel like it's in theme with a lot of the episodes that I've had. Do you think nature versus nurture? What do you think is more influential?
My personal opinion, nurture. Because a lot of things that, speaking from my personal experience.
Yeah.
Things that so my wife and I were obviously raised different, different socioeconomic statuses and different, both parents married, versus divorced parents, all that good stuff. You see things different, especially when it comes to raising a child. Yeah, we love one another, we care for one another, but certain things you had to come to agree to disagree on how to discipline a child. Should the child be educated? Should you live in this neighborhood? Should you live in that neighborhood? But also too, I say nurture because everything starts at home. If you want to have good members of society, you teach them at home. It doesn't matter your race, color, religion, creed, whatever you want to follow, any of that. It's based on being a good, productive member of society, right? So if you want your child to go be a good person, go out there and go to school or trade school or wherever it may be, get a job, have a family, pay taxes and all that great stuff. You teach them at home. Because if you don't teach them at home, they're going to go find it from somewhere else and they're going to learn. And it may be wrong. That's why I say nurture. So, yeah, I think nurture is a big thing because if you don't teach people at home, we don't learn at home, then we're going to learn from somewhere else. I think 2-family homes are important. Teaching, I have a boy, so I can only speak from a boy, teaching him how to, be nice to his mother, how to, and from that, he'll learn how to treat a woman, how to love her and be nice to her. And I show him that through the way I treat his mother. And they also pick up the bad traits, his